and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my Independence Report. And welcome everybody to another episode of my Independence Report. And Lynn Miller is with us. We were going to have Barbara Mango and Lynn Miller because they've written a book that I really want to get into and talk about. But unfortunately, Acts of Gods and other things, Barbara is in a area that in Connecticut, I believe she is. And there is a lot of wind and a lot of fallen trees, and she's lost power. So we're going to redo this episode, not redo it, because they've got a couple of books that they've been part of that we are going to talk about. And so we're going to do a couple episodes of this. But today we're going to talk with Lynn Miller, and we're going to talk about the book that she's written. First of all, hi, Lynn. How are you?
I am doing great, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing just awesome, thank you. I used to work right near where you live, which is in Missouri, right?
Yes, it's near Springfield.
Yeah, there's a chicken plant over there that Simmons runs, and I used to work for that company. I was a chicken salesman at one time, so I know where you live, and It's a nice area.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's talk about first of all, how did you and Barbara get together?
Yes. Well, we were working with the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation, and we were we were collecting data about the contact experiences, the contact modalities, and we were researching how certain types of modalities like out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, and certain things like that have in common when it comes to non-locality of consciousness. And this has a lot to do with contact of extraterrestrials and aliens like that. It was with the agency called FREE, which was which was an aspect of the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation.
Oh, very good. Very good. So you two have written a book, and in this book, you talk about all kinds of what I would say out of the fifth dimension things. For instance, near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences and extra I wish I could say extraterrestrial experiences, and all the kinds of things that we can't readily see, feel, and taste. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And you have written the book, and the name of the book is called give me the name of the book real quick, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, it's called Convergence, the Interconnection of Extraordinary Experiences.
Now, when you say convergence, what exactly are we talking about with that?
Okay. What we call the contact modalities. Now, these are various ways that people will have contact with extraterrestrials, aliens, are something that we call non-human intelligent beings, NHIBs. And there's various ways. These can be near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, past life experiences, and various methods like that. So what we wrote about is that a lot of these modalities have things that are very, very much in common with each other. And that's what we mean as convergence, because all these share these unique qualities, and what they share is the aspect of how consciousness is not local. So it's as if that even though we're looking at
No, I was just going to say,
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Now, just so everybody knows, you are in kind of in by Springfield, but you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we're doing a satellite feed, so there's a little bit of a delay. So, but we're not going to worry about that because the information that you have is so interesting, and we'll figure out because we're going to do more of these because you've written more than just the one book, and we're going to talk about several of those things. But when you say that they are all kind of connected, what do you mean by that?
Yes, they are connected via non-locality of consciousness, meaning that consciousness does not lie within our brains, but lies outside, more like an interdimensional communication. And that is what is common in all of these types of modalities, whether it be in telepathy, ESP, all those types of ways that, contact can be made with types of entities.
So when we talk about that, so basically we're talking about energy and the exchange of energy outside of our physical form that is in contact with other energies that are also outside of their physical form, and they kind of meet together and form these things. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes, that is the common ground to all of this.
And if you listen to the show any length at all, you'll know that I'm a strong believer that we have got energy outside of ourselves, that we are all connected, that we essentially are all one because we're all based out of the same energetic fields. Is that but what your conclusion has been as well?
Absolutely. It's just a different name. It is all energy, vibrational frequencies.
Very, very good. Now we talk about. I have to bring this up because I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm sure you are. That lately, in the news media they've been talking a great deal about UFOs and extraterrestrials being here, and they've got pictures of and film of flying saucers and things. And so all of those things are and that even NASA and the military are saying that these things are unexplained and are real. And so, how do we connect with extraterrestrials, and are they coming?
Well, how do we connect with them? Okay. Well, first of all, they're already here. They always have been. Um, one of the first things when I started to have or practice controlled out of body experiences, and this is something that is shared with so many other people like me who practice out of body experiences. One common thing is, oh my gosh, I met aliens. I met extraterrestrials. Um, that is, the one thing that is shared among a lot of people who have those types of experiences. But yeah, in ufology, there's all kinds of things that they look for. Of course, in the news, they talk about their ships, the bright lights, and stuff like that. But we're kind of we're looking at this a little bit differently because what we're more concerned about is the actual contact experience with the entities themselves. Just not about their ships and flying objects, but the actual contact with the beings that fly this. And the thing about it too is that, many people who have seen these or have had, where they have seen the flying objects, the UAPs, many times they will have contact experiences with them. Actual, meeting the ETs, and a lot of strange occurrences usually surround that. And that's what we're looking at, is that when people do have contact, there could be strange occurrences. They may start having very strange lucid dreams, out of body experiences. They may start seeing, strange colors and orbs and start hearing sounds, possibly seeing ghosts and all kinds of things. So that's why when we look at, as in convergence, we're looking at the fact that several of these things are occurring at once because they're related.
Indeed, they are. Now let's talk about your out of body experiences. When did you first begin to do that? And did it,
Mm-hmm.
number one, did it scare the hell out of you?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, was it something that you intended to do?
Okay. Well, most of my life, and I would say that this probably started when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I was having, what we refer to spontaneous out of body experiences. Strange occurrences like when you wake up and you walk around your house and you realize that you're still asleep, stuff like that. I would, visit different places, different towns. One time I remember walking out of my apartment and going inside somebody else's. And back then I was thinking, okay, well, this could be lucid dreams or something really strange. But it wasn't until much later, and this happened around 2006, when I started getting interested in spirituality. I had watched a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know, which brings in quantum physics and the law of attraction. Excuse me. And I started doing meditation. I started reading up on about all these amazing things. And I started to notice that these experiences were happening more often. And I remember waking up and the ceiling was like 2 inches from my face. And it's like, okay, this is really, really strange. And I was also having a prelude to out of body experiences, which is called the vibrational state, which can be extremely loud, very loud noises, almost like a train inside your head. And that's that point where your consciousness is separating. And so I'm thinking something's wrong with me. And I happened to listen to a podcast from William Buellman, and he was describing everything that I was experiencing. Started buying the books, started, looking on forums and groups and started sharing these things. And then I started doing, techniques for the controlled out of body experiences, at which, a lot of times you may not be able to just easily have them, but you can increase your chances of having them if you practice certain types of techniques, meditations, and things. And that really began everything. And that happened around probably 2010. And more, I started to have contacts with extraterrestrials.
It's interesting because William Buellman, I did a podcast with him, which is on my Independence Report,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can look up him. He's got some fascinating things that he has to say about out of body experiences and what his experiences were, and it's really an interesting concept when you think about the fact that if we are all energy, that it's possible for our energy and I guess now would you call that your soul that's leaving your body?
Yeah, you could call it the soul. You can, people, depending on your belief systems and things, sometimes they call them soul travelers. So, yes, you can definitely call it the soul. Yeah, William Buellman, he changed everything. That changed my life. I call him my grand poobah, and he's quite amazing.
And he didn't. It was a phenomenal episode that we did because
Yeah.
what it teaches us is that what we believe to be true ain't necessarily so. That there's a whole lot more to it than we think there is.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, it's like, they always try to say the space is the final frontier, but the consciousness is the real final frontier because it's unlimited. You can go anywhere. It's just it's amazing.
Well, I suppose it's very similar to what happens to us after we pass away and our body is no longer functioning, is
Mm-hmm.
that we have the ability to move about energetically and to be able to do anything
Yeah.
that we really want to do at any given time.
Absolutely. It's yes. At death, our consciousness separates, and we continue on into the afterlife. And William Buhlman has, a lot of his later books are about the afterlife, and it's like the same thing that we experience in out of body. We go to alternate dimensions, and those things make up the afterlife.
Exactly. Now, you've had experiences with extraterrestrial beings. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All kinds of strange experiences.
So I got a couple questions for you. Got a couple questions for you. First of all,
Okay.
95% of our oceans are not explored. Do they live? Do they have bases in the ocean, or are they more energetic beings in a non-physical form?
I think it can be both. I mean, there's some people who study more of the nuts and bolts of ufology, where they study it was like they believe in it's completely and totally physical in this reality. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I know in ufology they have seen them go into the oceans and just disappear. So that is absolutely a probability. If they can fly through space, they can definitely go into the oceans. They can go anywhere. I lean into what's called the interdimensional hypothesis. Okay, so there's the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and then there's the interdimensional hypothesis, where, I feel like a lot of this is the fact that these beings are also from other dimensions, and they're able to travel from one dimension to the other. And what's really cool about this is so can we. Our consciousness can also travel from one dimension to the next. So are they physical? Possibly. I mean, can they be both? Absolutely, because we are. I mean, if you're thinking about beings that could be, millions of years ahead of us, so no telling what their consciousness is about.
And that really is true. And since we are eternal beings, and our soul slash energy is eternal and doesn't die, and Einstein proved that energy never dies. So we could be theoretically, there could be civilizations out there that are millions of years ahead of us in their development. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. It's like, there's a billion stars in our galaxy. There's 100 billion stars in our galaxy, 100 billion galaxies in the universe. They can be millions and billions of years ahead of us. The universe, it creates life. I mean, that's what it does. That's what the stars do. It's like everything about it seems to go into this step by step thing to create, atoms. Those atoms, form different molecules, and it's like that's what life is. I mean, that's what the universe does. It's no telling what could exist out there.
So let me play devil's advocate, because I've heard this statement before, and so just let me repeat it. Not necessarily that I believe it, but to repeat it would be, okay, so if they're so advanced, what the hell do they care about us?
Well, I really do think that on a conscious level, we're finding, where we have things in common with them, our consciousness and our ability to be able to communicate in that way. I don't really look at them as, I know that people have different views when it comes to UFOs. It's like, oh, they're going to come, why should they care about us? We're just ants to them, or be fearful and things like that, saying, well, they can destroy planet Earth in a second, but I do feel that there, the multitudes and possibilities of life to exist. I just feel like, we share things with them. They care about life. They care about all living things. They care about, the plants and the animals, and they care about saving those things. So I think that they are concerned about our planet and how we treat our planet and how we treat each other.
I tend to agree with you 100% because first of all, I think it's very, very, very likely that we're all related in well, first of all, energetically, it's clear that we are related, but also we could be, and I've heard this expression said a lot, we could be seeds planted by another culture somewhere else that is that is helping us, and they're trying to guide and help us to get through the nuclear age and global warming and all the stupid stuff that we seem to be doing these days.
Yes, yes. They seem to be very patient with us. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, our they most likely did seed us. I mean, look at us. I mean, there is missing links in evolution. It's like, where did we come from? What is our origin? It doesn't seem like it's from this planet.
Well, and it's interesting because when I was young, which was a few years ago, they thought that maybe that Neanderthals came first, and then we were then they that evolved into humans. Now they've discovered that it's a completely different DNA structure, and so Neanderthals never were
Right.
designed to be human. They were something else, and we don't really have a foundation of DNA of any other planet animals on our planet. Has that been your experience?
I mean, I agree. I mean, could the Neanderthals evolved here? Possibility. I don't know a whole lot about that. There was a whole lot of, you know, possibility of, that the Homo sapiens wiped them out. We waged war with them. We had bigger brains, but we're also aggressive. And then they're starting to say that they possibly interbred and that there is still Neanderthal DNA in humans also. So instead of wiping one out, we just kind of merged, possibly.
Well, exactly. Especially since some of us are very, very hairy. I don't happen to be one of those, but but some folks are, I think that's very possible. I wanted to talk to you now. First of all, let's go back to the book a little bit. And you and Barbara put this book together, and you've written it. Is it out now, or is it just coming out?
Yes, it got published on March 1st.
Oh, so that it was really recently.
So it's out. Yes, yes. We had been working on it for about 3 years. Because see, what we were doing is we were writing stuff. We were writing a chapter for Beyond UFOs for the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation, and part of my stuff is in there, or it could be in the next book because that's going to be a series of books, and so that's where it's like, well, we got a lot of information. Let's put a book together, and that's how that started.
Oh, that's great. Now I'm hoping that Barbara won't be without power next time, because I want to have the two of you back, because you are looking, the research that you're doing. It fascinates me, because since we are all energy and we can do all kinds of the different things, it's just a matter of willing it and wanting it to happen, and then learning how to work it like you have. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. And it is different with so many different people. And since you mentioned Barbara, you have to understand, it's like, when I found out that she wasn't going to be on the show, it's like, I can't do this without you, because we each have our own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the book. Hers, she has a PhD in metaphysics, and her dissertation was in near-death experiences. And then she worked a lot too with the psychology behind the book, with because a lot of experiencers have this these certain types of personalities that are very in common. So she did a lot of psychology and that too. So we both have sort of our things that we offer to the book that are quite different, and of course a lot of it is the same too.
By the way, you're doing just great, so don't you worry about that. You're doing fine. But I wanted to just mention that every Monday at 4 o'clock Pacific, we have a program called Life Between Lives, and it's based upon the work of Dr. Michael Newton, who
Um,
who's a hypno. Oh, so you're familiar with Dr. Newton? Yeah, and he was a hypnotherapist.
definitely, definitely. Mhm.
He was a
Mhm.
hypnotherapist, and he's
Mhm.
passed on now.
Right.
But we feature Regan Forston
Mhm.
and Diana Packway, and they're both hypnotherapists, and they take people back
Mhm.
to life between lives and past life regression and all of that,
Yes.
all with the design of helping
Mhm.
people live this life a little bit better. So it's a great show that we're doing on
Right.
Monday. So I encourage you to listen to that. But
That's
now, so Barbara's the one that's more in tune with past life regression and that sort of thing. But you also are very
yes.
familiar with it.
Oh yes, I'm very familiar with it, especially in the like the ufology aspect of it. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dolores Cannon. I loved her work and her books. I've attended the UFO conference every year. At the in Eureka Springs, and her work was amazing too. The past life regression stuff is amazing, especially so a lot of the information that she has found, dealing with the fact that a lot of humans have had past lives where they were extraterrestrial, where they were from different planets, and some of them have been, first time Earthers, first time, on planet Earth. Yes.
Well, speaking of which, George, Miss Cannon, I've also interviewed. Apparently, I've been around for a while and have got
Oh.
lots of folks that I've interviewed, and I talked to
Mhm.
her about past life regression and the fact that
Mhm.
they have now gotten to the point where they can now prove that when you have in many cases when you have a past life regression, that they can go back in history and they can find the individual that you were.
Mhm.
It's fascinating
Right.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbara. Yeah. Barbara's really familiar with that type of work too.
Yeah, so
Especially, like you said, when you've incarnated from a previous life, on Earth.
yep. Well, and the one thing that I do know is that Earth is very dense. Earth is very difficult. It is a difficult planet to be on. And because we're used to being an energetic being and being able to do things that we just can't do here. We're very dense. And the only reason that I think that there are so many people coming here now is because of the invention of indoor plumbing. But that's just me.
Oh, yeah.
So when we look at
we,
go ahead.
no, I was just so, but yeah, I mean, when you think about the huge population explosion, that's what I was just thinking, and sliced bread and things like that.
Exactly. It's a lot
But
easier.
yeah,
Yep, it's a lot
right.
easier to be here now than it was even 100 years ago.
I know things have changed so much, haven't they? It's amazing to be alive right now. It blows my mind when I start thinking about it. It's like, where were we just 100 years ago? I'm a teacher, and I see my kids, they're, they're always on their phones and everything. I mean, I grew up with the computer age, since in the 80s and kind of being part of all this and seeing all the change. I had one of those giant cell phones and stuff. It's amazing what has happened. It has happened so fast. And sometimes that's kind of scary to think about it too. The things are happening really fast, and that can be dangerous.
It really can be, especially with the damage that we're doing to the planet, the damage that we're doing to each other,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we don't
Right.
understand that it doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, green, purple. We're all one. We're all together, and we're all the same energy. And we need to accept each other as that and work together for the benefit of the planet.
Yes, yes, and a lot of times too, when I feel like I have this connection with these higher beings, I mean that's the main thing that they, get across to you. It's like you are one. You need to love one another. You need to accept one another. You need to treat your planet better. Love all life because all life is precious. Because from what I have understand from the contact that I have with them, that's the most important thing to them is all life is precious.
It really is, and when you think back to the history of mankind, we have been a particularly brutal particularly brutal to each other. And if you're not in our
Yes.
tribe, you're an enemy, and if you're an enemy, then it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for us to do whatever we like to you. And it's been a real struggle for us to get past that, and unfortunately I dare say that we're not
No,
past it yet.
no, but hopefully we're getting there. I sure hope so.
I do as
And I
well.
think that and I feel like too, it's like, you know, these extraterrestrials, these beings, they're not landing on the White House lawn. They're contacting just everyday people like you and me. Because sometimes you wonder, it's like, why me? And that's why. Because they're seeing that commonality within us. They're seeing our spirituality, our willingness to go beyond ourselves, and that's why they're contacting us.
I agree with you 100%. Now, Lynn, you're a teacher.
Yes,
What do
yes,
you teach?
science teacher.
Oh, well, that
Science.
makes sense. That makes sense that you're a science teacher, because because it
Yeah.
plays right into what you're talking about. And by the way, we're talking with Lynn Miller. She's the co-author of along with Barbara Mango, and the name of the book is uh, is Convergence, the interconnection of the extraordinary experiences. And those experiences include anything. I I I would think, Lynn, that those experiences include anything that's would be considered out of body or without your physical body. Is that true?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the connection has to do with the fact that our consciousness is non-local. And the thing about it is, we call this the contact modalities. And the four that's in the book is out of body experiences, near death experiences, um, afterlife, um, I'm sorry, contact experiences with extraterrestrials, and past lives. And there's so many more. The Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation, it incorporates so much more in that, because people, it can go into the telepathy, extrasensory perception, remote viewing, seeing ghosts, even other types of beings and creatures, seeing orbs, it encompasses so many of other things. And these are the main four that we talk about in the book. So, when it comes to non-local consciousness, people can experience that in so many ways. Dreams, lucid dreams, premonition, all kinds of things.
It is pretty amazing. And then the numbers of people that I have come in contact with and worked with, that people like John Edward and a gal by the name of Kim Miller and Natasha Venter that are all psychic mediums, and they have a gift
Yes.
to be able to talk to people on the other side and convey messages from them. Because now, do you think it's because they're operating at a higher frequency than the rest of us are?
Well, it's absolutely, and see what you're talking about, like psychics. That is also being able to go. That's all about non-local consciousness, also. So these are all similar things. So what they're able to do is they're able to, during their waking moment, able to access the other side, the other inner dimensions, where they can see, and talk to people in the afterlife. People have all kinds of gifts, and it's via non-local consciousness.
Now, in your research, have you really delved into the fact that I see personally, I think that we are all have the ability to access these gifts if we understand what
Yes.
we're looking for and are able to process it. Am I close?
Oh, absolutely. We're human beings. All humans are able to do this. So yeah, it's common with everybody. We're all, people, have dreams where they may see future events. It's like you can almost talk to anybody, and just about everybody has had some type of paranormal activity within their life. So yeah, absolutely. We're born with it. We have a soul, we're born with it.
So therefore, I don't know that I've ever brought this up on the radio before or on a podcast or anything, but there were two instances, and I want your opinion on these, where I was having a dream, and in the one dream, I dreamed that there was a horrific car crash in a tunnel, and there was a gentleman sitting on the hood of the car after the accident who was holding a cigar or holding a cigarette, and he had a top hat, and I got the impression he was from England. About 6 months later, Princess Di was killed in a tunnel, and it was a horrific accident. And then there was another time that I dreamed that I was in a high rise building, and the building started to shake, and I ran down the stairs and went outside. I thought it was an earthquake, and I went outside the building, and there was no movement at all on the ground. It was all in the building, and that was before 9/11. Could those have been
9/11.
premonitions?
Oh, absolutely. I think Barbara has had something like that where something happened with her before 9/11. And you have to understand, too, that, you talk about Einstein and theory of relativity, where the past, present, and future are one. So, we're able to look at those possibilities. And the thing about it is, when something like that's that big, is going to cause this huge ripple effect. Because think about it. Think about everybody that was affected with Diane's death. Those moments, everybody was concentrating on that. 9/11, all those attention, everybody's attention was on that, and people can pick up on those huge waves that are happening in the inner dimensions, in the field. And you pick that up, you were sensitive to it, and that's so yeah, you can absolutely be able to look at the future and see future events. It's all non-local, it's all in the ether, in the field. especially those
That's,
things that can really cause huge effects to humanity.
now, would you describe what's going on now with the virus and with the pandemic? What have you, in your experience, been told about what's happening now and why it's happening?
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I know that when it comes to, the pandemic and things like that, I know that, it's kind of gotten to be quite political. And I know that there's a lot of conspiracy aspects to it and stuff like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't. That's one of the things that. Well, okay. Are you ready, Lassie? I can tell you what I think. What I think is going on with it is that we. I think that this is the Earth's way of waking us up and getting us to understand that if we don't change our ways and change how we are behaving towards each other and towards the planet, that it's going to continue to give us obstacles that we're going to have to fight through in order for us to make those changes. I think that's true with global warming. I think it's true with the pandemic. I think
Mm,
they're all kind of
right.
related in that the other side, and
Yeah.
it may be our spirit guides, it may be the extraterrestrials that are involved with it, it may be in any number of things, but we have to learn how to change what we're doing and to care. That's one
Hmm.
of the reasons why my podcast exists, is that we're declaring our freedom from hate, division, and fear. Right now, hate, division, and fear is running rampant
Definitely.
in our
Hmm.
country,
Hmm.
and we have to stop it. And if we don't stop it,
Oh, absolutely.
something's going to stop it for us.
Yes, everything is so fear based, and anything that comes from fear is going to hurt us. It's going to damage us. The Earth is a living system, and the Earth is quite happy without humans being on it. And I always thought it's like if it gets to some point, Earth's going to shake us off like fleas. So we have to change. We have to, as we're moving into technology, we're destroying so many things. And mankind, we have turned ourselves away from nature, and that's destroying us. It really is, because you know advancement is, there's nothing wrong with becoming more advanced, but it has to be along with all living things. We can't turn our backs on that. And when we do, that's what's going to destroy us, because we can't survive without this planet. We
We
can't.
can, and
It's a living system.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I think that in the world that we currently have created for ourselves and for everything around us, we are seeing such destruction of the environment, of the forests, of the animals, and the extinction
Hmm.
of so many different life forms that at one point it's going to be, we're at one point we are going to be that life form that is going to be they're going to say, well, we can do
Right.
without them quite nicely, thank you very much.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you think about the Native Americans. You know,
I was just thinking of them.
everything that was about them. Yeah, it was just, they respected and loved nature so much, and they never turned away from nature. And we can't do that, because it will absolutely destroy us, because it's we coexist with nature. We can't live without it. It's part of us, and we're part of the planet. So it's, and that's, to me, what I feel that the extraterrestrials, their biggest point to me is, we're not about the bright shiny ships and the things that fly in the sky. We're about respect for all life, because all life is precious. It is.
I would.
Everything's interdimensional too. I've
Well, I was just going to say, if you ever want to get a real clear understanding of the Indian culture versus what we supplanted them with, which is the Western culture from from Europe. Watch Dances with Wolves. Have you ever seen that movie, Dances with Wolves?
uh, yes, I loved it.
There was one scene where the Indians, because of what they did, the Plains Indians specifically, they killed buffalo, and they did kill buffalo, but they used every part of the animal for
Yes,
clothing, for food, for utensils. They used for carrying water. They used every bit of that animal as it was designed to be done. And then we came along and decided, well, I just want their coat, so we would, and millions of these animals were
I know.
killed, and for nothing more than the coats,
Hmm.
the buffalo hides, and that has to
Yeah.
change.
Yes. Yes. That was so sad. That was just so sad. What we did. You know. and
Yes,
and
and
and to wipe them, to wipe to wipe them out, to change them spiritually, consider them as heathens when their spirituality was one with nature,
far
all in the
exceeded,
name
far
of
exceeded.
religion.
Yep. And we killed a bunch of them because we were an unclean uh, people that were coming here from England and from over there, and they were a lot cleaner than we were, but we infected them with all kinds of diseases and that kind of. Anyway, that's a topic for another time.
Right.
But by the
Yeah.
way, we are talking with Lynn Miller. She's the co-author of the book, and you're going to have to help me with the title again.
Yes, it's called Convergence: the interconnection of extraordinary experiences.
Which is a really cool title for the book, and it's brand new. How, by the way, how are sales? How's it doing?
It's doing pretty good. I mean, it, it's like when you write a book, it's just not automatically going to sell itself. You have to kind of get yourself out there. You have to push it. You have to become a presence. It's sort of like when you make a website. You have to do a lot of CEO and certain things because no one's going to find it. So yeah, I mean, this is the beginning of an incredible journey for us, because through this, we're meeting a lot of amazing people, and just help spreading the word about it.
So if you go to Amazon, you can pick that book up, can't you?
Absolutely. It's also an ebook version, and it's on quite a few different platforms, like Books a Million and other types of places.
Now they can also go to your website and get it, can't they? Or is that not? No, maybe not.
The website will. Yeah, it's the website is just going to have links to the different places that it's sold to, and it's also can be sold from the publisher site. See, if you were talking to Barbara, she could spit that off like blah blah blah, like she knows exactly what to tell you on that part. But yes,
don't
it's on Amazon.
Lynn, don't worry about it. You've done remarkably well, and I know that this is a foreign medium for you, and I appreciate you coming here and talking with us today.
Me and Barbara are kind of coming out of our shell in all of this. We have to.
Well, and I'll tell you, I want to have the both of you back so that we can explore more about convergence, but also talk about the other two books that you've written for, and talk about life between lives and life after death and near death
Hmm.
experiences and all of that, because that, that's the one thing that we all are going to face at one point, is going to be death. And so if we can demystify it to the best
Yes.
degree we can, then it can actually be a healthy experience. Do you agree?
It, oh, absolutely. I mean, the greatest, when it comes to paradigm shifts of any kind, the greatest is knowing that our consciousness continues, that we continue on, and that there's so much. I mean, it's like death is just a phase that we go through. It's really nothing. We continue to live, and that's the greatest thing right there, is knowing that we are so much more than physical beings. We're not really physical beings at all. We're interdimensional beings,
I
having a short existence in this reality.
exactly. I've had the opportunity and the ability to interview many psychic mediums, many people that are in touch with spirit guides and things on the other side, and to a person, they will all tell you that your body is nothing more than the vehicle that you're riding in right now. And when that vehicle, it's
Very
like
temporary.
it's very temporary, and when the engine conks out and it no longer works, you just go get another vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. Or live in the inner dimensions, like life between lives. Can you
It's
imagine, living where there are no boundaries, like where anything is possible, where the laws of physics that apply to this reality no longer apply?
Can you imagine how far you can hit a golf ball on the other side?
Yeah. Can you imagine flying? Can you
I
imagine, flying over floor?
I have to tell you, Lynn, a couple things that I've mentioned it before. I have I have flown in dreams. I have been able to
Yes.
breathe underwater in dreams. I have fallen
Hmm.
and didn't die, which I think is really paramount when because you think about it. Have you ever dreamed that you were falling?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Did you ever get to the bottom and feel a bunch of pain and feel like that you were dead? I never have. I've always
Yeah.
continued somewhere else before I hit the ground.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
So by the way, it's been a pleasure talking with you today, and go get Convergence. It's a wonderful book, and it's brand new, and it's got a lot of interesting things that even if you don't believe any of this, it'll make you think. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Now, what I like to do at the end of every episode, Lynn, is to give you the opportunity. Here's your opportunity to get your soapbox out and to talk to our audience about anything that you'd like them to know.
Well, we also have a blog and a website. I think you had looked at that. So Barbara is a prolific writer, absolutely amazing writer. So at our website, we have lots and lots of amazing articles, and it's all orientated around our books. And it's got some of the most amazing subjects. So all of these things that we have talked about in the book are also in our blog. So it's got everything in it you can imagine, lots and lots of great articles and stuff. So, and that's all, that's all free for anybody to look at. So, that would be a great place to start.
And the name of your website is www.extraordinaryexperiences.org. That's
Yes.
extraordinaryexperiences.org.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at that. You can get the book. You can look at the blog. They've got media. They've got all kinds of stuff there for you to spend some time. If this is a subject matter that interests you, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it should interest all of us because
Yeah.
um, eventually we're going to all know the answers. I have to tell you a funny story just real quick before we go. My brother, it's as funny as it can kind of be. My brother passed away in October. He had stage 4 lung cancer, and he passed away. He was a fundamentalist Christian. I was talking with one of my good friends, Natasha Venter, just day before yesterday, and I said, have you had the opportunity to get in touch with my brother yet?" Because sometimes, as the mediums will tell you, that it takes a little while for them to be orientated back into the other side, and for them to really get to the swing of things, of how things go on the other side. And she said, "Yeah, no, he's laughing and he's saying, yeah, you were right. I was wrong. You were right, and this is how it is." And so I appreciated that. So, Lynn, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Kevin, thank you so much for inviting us.
And we're going to have you back again. And this, hopefully, next time Barbara will be able to be front and center and present. We're just going to hope that the weather isn't too bad over there tonight, because she was without
Right.
power, and she probably still is without power. So, Lynn
Yeah.
Miller, go ahead. One more. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the same storm kind of swept through here too. Where do you live? Have you had any stormy weather?
No, I live in Seattle, Washington. You see that blue sky behind me? That's how it is here. And we're very lucky. We don't get,
Okay.
I'll tell you why I
Mm-hmm.
live here. We don't have tornadoes. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have poisonous snakes. We don't have poisonous spiders. All four of those are deal breakers for me. So I'm very happy to live here, because I know where you are. You have water moccasins, and you have rattlesnakes, and and all of those fine creatures, which are wonderful as long as they stay away from me.
Tornadoes.
Oh yeah. Wait, and I really don't know how. One time, because I was a traveling salesman, I was in your neck of the woods, and it was in the evening time, so it was dark, and it was about April, but it was dark, and I turned on the TV, and you know this very well. In the corner of when the TV's on, and they're having a weather event, they have little counties
Mm-hmm.
in the corner, and there'll
Yeah.
be a scrolling thing across the bottom of the screen that says. Now, I didn't know what county I was in at the time, and it scrolled across the screen that said, "If you're in X number, whatever county it was, if you're there, go downstairs, and go downstairs now, and go into the basement, and go downstairs now, because there is a tornado on the ground where you are." It was like, holy crap, really? And so I didn't want to live there either.
Right.
So, because I don't know how you guys sleep when it's dark outside, because you guys get some of the most hellacious thunderstorms, even if there's no rotation to it. There's a lot of wind, and there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
rain, and it's very, very loud. I don't know how the hell you sleep.
Oh, I guess we just get used to it. But I was at one school, near in the Boot Hill of Missouri, that it got wiped out with a tornado. So yeah, it can get pretty bad. It really can. And the thing about it is all the rain, you know, we get a lot of flooding, you know, can't get through roads and all kinds of things.
Yep,
But
but
Barbara, she she lives up north.
yeah, she lives
She
in
gets the
Connecticut.
big snowstorms.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
See, we don't get
Yeah.
any of those either. So I'm very, very. Maybe I should say this differently. Don't move to Seattle. It's a horrible place to live. I'll say that.
Okay.
So,
I would
Lynn
love to
Miller,
come and visit.
I would love for you to. It would be great. It would be a great experience for both of us. By the way, go to their website, which is www.extraordinaryexperiences.org, and pick up the book, Convergence, the interconnectedness of, I've got my camera in the way, of extraordinary experiences. So with that, it's great to have you, Lynn, and we're going to do this again if that's all right with you.
Oh, absolutely, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, you stay right where you're at, and I'll be right back. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.